This is episode 10 of Entrepreneurs for a Change. If you like this podcast, please subscribe to our mailing list at entrepreneursforachange.com.
Are you ready to be the change? If so, you've come to the right place. You're about to join a movement of entrepreneurs who are empowering people, saving the planet, and turning their passion into profits while creating the lifestyle of their dreams. If you don't believe us, check out our website at entrepreneursforachange.com, a place where you can be inspired, mentored, and supported by a tribe of change-making entrepreneurs just like you.
Hello, beautiful Changemakers. This is Lorna Li, your host of the Entrepreneurs for a Change podcast. I am so blessed to have spent the past week at the gorgeous Dusit Puncha Resort on Koh Tao Island, where, by sheer luck, I got to stay in their most expensive villa for the price of a room. This was the perfect place for me to relax, work, and shoot my new video series, which will be coming out real soon on entrepreneursforachange.com. I've been reflecting a lot about the lessons I've learned from my roller coaster year of 2013. I've been officially location independent for over a year and a half. In 2013, I experienced amazing adventures in travel, in love, and in spiritual expansion. I've had incredibly hard, difficult moments too, and sadly, my newfound beloved and I parted ways because our lifestyle differences were just too great. Now, when it comes to lifestyle, I admire some of the digital nomadic couples I've met in Thailand, like Josh and Jill Stanton. Josh and Jill are a rockin' location-independent couple that run their online businesses from exotic locations around the world. Josh is a niche affiliate marketer. He makes money through creating websites in different niches and promoting products through these websites as an affiliate marketer. Josh and Jill run a website called Screw the 9 to 5 and just launched an online course together called Badass Guest Blogging. I've included the links in our show notes at entrepreneursforachange.com/10. In this in-depth interview, Josh will share his expertise on how he created a freedom-based business, including what pathway he followed to free himself from the 9 to 5 and how you can do the same. What it's like to live, work, and travel with his wife 24/7, and how they manage conflict while running their business from the road. What it takes to create, launch, and promote an online course, plus the technology backend systems that they used. The 3 most powerful benefits of guest blogging, and how it helped them skyrocket their monthly revenue. Which is a better way to promote your product and drive traffic, guest blogging, or blogging on your own site? And much, much more. Now, before diving into the interview, I want to encourage you to rate, review, and download Entrepreneurs for a Change on iTunes. This really helps us reach more people with inspiring stories of entrepreneurs who are changing the world. Also, if these stories inspire you to start a world-changing business of your own, head over to our website at entrepreneursforachange.com and download the Business Changemakers Toolkit to get a jumpstart today. Now on to the show. All right, Josh, so thank you so much for joining me today. It's such a pleasure to meet you and Jill during the Dynamite Circle conference in Bangkok, and I'm excited to hear your story. So I'd love for you to share with us, what exactly do you and your company, what do you guys do, and how exactly did you get to where you are now?
It's really good to be here, Lorna. I was sort of thinking about this the other day, what it is that I do, because initially I sort of thought, do I do affiliate marketing? Am I just a general online marketer? But what I realized is the specific focus of my online business is in niche marketing. So I'm a niche marketer, which means that I can basically jump into any niche, create a website, and make money from that website in some way. So that's one side of my business. The other side is through screwthe9to5.com. And that's basically our site that we sort of use as a bit of a hub to teach people how to do similar stuff to what we do ourselves, which is in the niche marketing.
So to build a business on niche marketing, you essentially need to have a portfolio of many websites in order to generate enough sustainable income? Is that how it works?
That's the idea. I mean, you don't necessarily need a lot of websites. There's different models. You can, have a ton of websites. For example, there's a Joe and Justin from the AdSense flippers or the Empire flippers, they have something like 931 sites. They're all like really small sites that they use to bring in anywhere from like $20 to $100 a month. And because they've got so many, they're able to forge a pretty good income month to month. Whereas I've sort of dabbled in a lot of different things. So the first sort of thing I dabbled in was with very small microsites targeting sort of like brand name keywords. So I would create a review site based around a specific offer and try and rank on Google for keyword terms around that offer. So like buy product name or product name review or where to buy product name. And I would bring traffic into my site who were searching for those keyword terms, and they would be highly likely to want to purchase the product, which I would then promote on that site through affiliate marketing and make money. So that was the first thing I did. And then about 2 years ago, I moved into authority sites, and that's creating bigger sites, trying to basically create sites to control your own traffic. So you can build an email list. It's not just about search traffic, it's about social traffic and email traffic as well. And yeah, I mean, like that's sort of where I'm at now. That's where we got into the idea of moving towards guest blogging as a form of traffic as well.
So how many authority sites do you have, and how many niche sites do you have?
So I have 4 authority sites that are making money. One of those is pretty good. One of those makes around about $5,000 a month, and the others don't make anywhere near as much. But then I have, I've sort of lost count of how many small niche sites I have. I think I have like about 50 or something like that.
Wow, that sounds like a lot of work. Do you manage them all yourself, or do you have teams of people in the Philippines creating content and managing and updating the sites for you?
Yeah, so for the authority sites, we sort of went down a different road where we decided to write the content ourselves. So Jill, my wife Jill, she actually wrote most of the content for those authority sites. But with the smaller sites and niche sites, because we're creating such a large volume of those week to week, I obviously can't write all that content myself, so we outsource all that. We don't outsource to the Philippines. We have an in-house writer. She's from Canada, and she does all the content for those sites.
So when you got started trying to make money online, how long did it take for you to generate a viable, sustainable income for you?
So there's sort of like 2 stages of my online career. I first started around about 6 years ago now, and I sort of got trapped in the, I was making money through niche sites. I was doing that, but I wasn't making lots, and I sort of got caught up in the concept of coaching, and I started developing sort of internet marketing, digital products like that. And we ended up doing quite well. I had a business partner and we sold a lot of those products, but we weren't spending a lot of time building our own niche sites. So I did that for a number of years and we made pretty good income that way. And then I sort of we both decided together that we were going to go our separate ways. And when that happened, I teamed up with Jill and I got back into my roots of creating those niche sites. And it started off with the authority sites.
So the learning curve from getting into online marketing to monetization was roughly a few months or a few years, or did you actually kind of get a jump start because you're working with a partner who already knew what he was doing?
Well, I was actually very lucky before that because I started working as an intern with 2 guys who knew a lot about SEO. They had an SEO company and they taught me how to make money through affiliate marketing. And I started working with them in 2006, I believe, and it took around about 3 months before I was making about $500 a month with my own niche sites, and I was working with them about 30 hours a week as well. So I was building my own side income. So yeah, about 3 months until I was able to make about $500 a month, and then I worked with them for another 9 months, so a year in total, and then after those 12 months, I was making enough money from my niche sites to go out on my own. I was making around about, I think it was like $1,500 a month or something at that stage, which for me was enough money to survive at that time.
Where you were, or did you decide at a certain point, When did you decide at a certain point to free yourself and go location independent?
I didn't even know about this current lifestyle, that there were people in Southeast Asia living for $1,000 a month. You know, I just thought I was the only one in the world doing what I was doing. So it was sort of a strange time once it was about a year after I quit my job with those guys that the house I was living in, the owner was coming back there, and I had a choice of either staying in the city I grew up in, which is the Gold Coast, and just moving out somewhere, or I had an opportunity in China, in Beijing, to go and work with some developers. They were developing software for us at the time. I could go into a big story about that, but I won't waste anyone's time. So I decided to sort of pack up and move over to China for a year. And that was sort of like my first stepping stone into the world of independent lifestyle.
So what's your lifestyle like right now? What do you love about it?
Lifestyle right now, I think the thing I love the most is that we can just pack up at a moment's notice and go wherever I want. That's one benefit. The other benefit is I don't have anyone breathing down my neck, apart from my wife. I don't have anyone breathing down my neck telling me what to do all the time. It's my choice. It's some may find that difficult because it's up to you in order to make your income, make your living. But I sort of see it as a benefit because I don't have anyone telling me what to do. Yeah, I have to work hard to make a living, but that's fine. I'm used to that now. I'm free and I don't have anyone telling me what to do, which is great.
So which countries have you been to, and have you had any memorable moments during your... how long have you been location independent? So
I guess about a year after I quit my job, so since 2007? Yeah, end of 2007.
Wow, so you've been traveling the world since 2007.
Yeah, pretty much. I've probably the longest I've spent in any place is around about a year in that, since 2007.
And what are your favorite countries?
Favorite countries to live in. So I've lived in 5 countries. I've traveled to, I think, like 25 countries or something like that. But to live in, I really enjoyed living in New Zealand. I spent 6 months there in Auckland, and I really loved that city. The people there are really friendly. And Thailand, so far Thailand, we've been here for a year now, and it's one of those places that I think I'll always come back to just because it's just got everything here.
So how did you and Jill meet? While traveling or back home?
We met, so Jill was in Toronto, and my business partner at the time, he was also living in Toronto, and they knew Jill, and I was in Beijing at the time, and I was traveling over to Toronto to catch up with my business partner. And the second night I got to Toronto, they said we were going to go out with our friends for dinner, so chuck on some clothes and let's go. Anyway, I went downstairs, and then I saw Jill was in the car. She was picking us up, and I found out that it was actually sort of like a blind double date almost. So I was a little bit nervous, but we hit it off pretty quickly. And then she took us out to her parents' cottage out on the lake in Ontario, and and then the rest is history, basically.
Well, I think it's really cool that you guys travel together but also work together. And I find it really fascinating to discover how couples like you guys manage to balance relationship with work. Because essentially, normal couples, when they're, based in a particular location, the two people go off to their different jobs. After work, they, have dinner together, they reunite, they spend the weekends. But you guys are together 24/7, so how do you make it work?
It's challenging, it's definitely a work in progress. When we first started, we saw a pretty quick climb towards making money, so we were sort of excited about that, and we didn't really argue that much. But as we sort of hit a bit of a plateau in our business, then the decisions start coming in. Okay, we need to maybe change to do this, and then the other person thinks you should do something different, and because there's no set person who's in charge, you kind of just fighting against each other. You may have different opinions as to which direction you want to go in, and because there's no one person who controls that direction, you end up arguing. So it's definitely a work in progress. I mean, right now we've made a very good decision with our business and relationship in that Jill is going to take over the majority of screwthe9to5.com, and because she really enjoys marketing, that side of marketing herself, and she's a very good personality, so running a personality-based business is perfect for her. Whereas I sort of enjoy more of the logistics side, so setting up websites, creating procedures, looking after staff, managing and things like that. So we've sort of created a bit of a divide with our business that complements both. So yeah, it's a work in progress, but I think we're onto something pretty good right now.
So you guys have a conflict. How do you deal with it? Does one person move out? Do you guys have to get different hotel rooms?
It hasn't gotten to that point yet.
Oh, that's so good.
But, I think what's very important in any relationships, business or personal, is that you just have to talk it out. There just has to be some form of communication, because, and we're very good at doing that. Like, we never go to bed with something unresolved. We'll always resolve it before we go to bed. So, I think the number one thing that anyone can do if you're working with your partner is just make sure nothing goes unresolved. Always talk it out and get it to a point where you're back feeling good again. Because if you're feeling hatred towards the other person, they're feeling that towards you, you're both going to stop working completely. So you need to get back into that sort of comfortable environment again so you can get back to work.
But that could take hours of emotional processing, does it? Or have you figured out a good way to resolve your differences very quickly?
I mean, we're pretty good with each other. I mean, it depends on the relationship you're in, I guess. But because Jill's she has a very strong personality, she will always tell me when she's feeling angry towards me or something. And I think maybe because I'm an Australian, I'm fairly laid back. I can kind of take that, absorb that, and then kind of talk to her about it. So I think we sort of complement each other in that way. Like, I can probably calm her down, and she can sort of, give me some of her personality, which is great. But yeah, I mean, it's sort of a tough thing every now and then, but what we've got going on right now seems to be working very well, having that sort of slight divide in the business.
So what does your typical day look like?
Typical day is get up around about 7:30, 8 o'clock, sometimes 9 o'clock, depending how we're feeling. Get up, go do a quick workout, come back, and we'll have a juice. Just the fruit and the vegetables in Thailand is amazing, so we tend to juice in the morning. And then we'll rock up here at Pun Space, which is the co-working space here in Chiang Mai, and start work anywhere from 9 to 10 o'clock. And then we'll just work for a couple of hours, go grab lunch, come back, work for a few more hours, and then get home anywhere from 5 to 7 o'clock, have dinner, chill out, go to bed, and then get up the next day and go again. And it sounds like a regular 9 to 5 for everyone who's listening, I guess, but when you get to choose to do it yourself, there's something different about that. You're not being forced to go into your office, it's your choice. I think that makes a huge difference.
Yeah, I could see the passion behind you guys witnessing you launch your online course, Badass Guest Blogging, because I remember I joined Pun Space around the time when you guys were launching, and you had so much energy and you all looked so productive. So I was like, wow, these guys are, really, really work hard at their business. So I'm curious, is this this course that you guys created, is that the first course you've done? And what inspired you to create Badass Guest Blogging?
It's not the first course I've done, but it's the first course that Jill and I have done together. And what inspired it was, so last year we started, as I mentioned before, we started doing authority sites. And the main form of promotion for those authority sites that we decided to use was guest blogging. So we kind of, over the course of 18 months, became experts at guest blogging because we ended up writing so many and contacted so many people and figured out how to do the process and be successful at it, that, when it came time to us to create a course for Screw the 9 to 5, we thought to ourselves, what are we best at? What have we succeeded at? And it was guest blogging. That was the first thing that we realized that we had done very well, and it had led to us creating, it sort of peaked with those authority sites around about $10,000 a month, and it sort of stabilized at that point too. So we were very successful in just that one form of promotion for those types of niche sites, and that was our inspiration.
How long did it take for you guys to pull together that product from concept to launch?
It took a long time. It took too long. Yeah. After we did it, we realized that if we had have just said, just given maybe half the amount of content, it would have been enough. But I think maybe because it was our first course, we decided that we wanted to make it amazing. We wanted to impress people, right? So we spent a lot of time. We put about 4 months in total into that course. It took a while, and there's definitely some things I would change for the next course. But if you do want to get it, it's we put a lot of our own time into it, and it is a pretty good course. So.
Yeah, it's a fantastic course. I've done a lot of guest blogging myself, and so I understand a lot of the principles behind it. But I think what I appreciate about Badass Guest Blogging is that you lay it out in such simple, easy to follow steps and stages. And not only do you present the information really clearly, it's presented in a beautifully designed way.
that's all Jill, that one.
Great. So there, in the internet marketing world, there's a lot of recommendations, or it's advised that before you create the product, pre-sell it first. So that way you have some people through the gate purchasing your product at an entry-level cost, and therefore from those initial funds, you can then leverage towards actually creating your course. Did you guys do that already, or did you just start building the course because you had all that information?
We didn't do pre-selling as such. We did a free training course though. So leading up, it was the month leading up to the actual launch, we decided to start getting it out there that we were actually about to release a guest blogging course. And to do that, we decided to release week by week training videos for a free training series. And that was something that I'd seen other marketers do. What's his name? David Siteman Garman from The Rise to the Top. He's done that before in the past. I think that's what we got our inspiration for with that. So we didn't actually do any sort of pre-selling, but we did a free training beforehand that kind of led up to the launch.
So you already had all the information in the back end loaded up and ready to go before you did the free training, or was it partially complete and then you did the free training and then you finished the course after you got people in?
So the free training stuff was all done before we launched free training, and we already had the concept of the entire course, the actual premium course, ready to go as before free training started. Yeah,
but it hadn't been built yet.
No.
Oh, okay, great. And the free training videos, is it the same content that you used in the back end, or is it different?
It's similar content. It's one of the things we sort of questioned because we didn't want to give away too much.
Yeah.
It's sort of a weird thing, like saying you don't want to give away too much. It's kind of arrogant. So in the end, we decided, let's give away pretty good tips in the free training. And that way, at least people will see that we're actually trying to help them out and not just trying to take their money. So we gave people in the free training a basic process, but enough in order to be successful at guest blogging. Except if you wanted to buy into the premium stuff, you could have got a lot more of our tips that weren't, they were a bit more advanced and would help you take advantage of guest blogging a lot more effectively.
I think that's really the key in marketing an online course or an info product, is giving people enough value for free, but not giving them too much where they feel oversaturated or they feel full from the free, fantastic information that you gave them, so that they're not inspired to actually buy your product. So it's kind of like an appetizer in the main course.
Yeah, well, so we thought about that, and we sort of came to the conclusion that maybe if we provide people with very good content for free, in their minds they'll think, if this is free, what's the paid version going to be like? That was sort of the concept we tried to go with. But I've heard that, kind of holding back a little bit on your free content can help sell your premium content. So I don't know, I think you just sort of have to test it out.
Mm-hmm. What technology backend do you use to deliver this product?
We used a membership theme called Optimize Press 2, and we combined that with a payment gate called Digital Access Pass. So Digital Access Pass kind of is a plugin that integrates really well with Optimize Press. That handles all the payments and the affiliates and whatnot. And then Optimize Press was basically for creating the content. And we hired a team of designers to customize our back end, which, it ended up looking very good in the end, but we went through all kinds of ropes to try and make it look nice. Initially, when we first started, we sent off designs and we got them back and they looked like crap. They looked like crap, honestly, and we had to tell them to go back and redo it, and it was just a pain in the butt customizing. So if you are going to use Optimize Press, which works quite well, I would recommend just using the templates they provide you.
So is that all you need? Digital Access Pass, Optimize Press? Do you need something to, track affiliate partners?
So we also connected it to ClickBank. In Digital Access Pass, they have a function where you can connect it to a ClickBank product. So you just want to make sure, one tip I will give people if they want to go through ClickBank is to make sure they start the product approval process very early on, so at least a month before you launch, because they are very slow at approving your products. So that's one thing I would definitely do.
So you actually have to have a product to show them before you launch.
You do. You need to show them your sales copy and the thank you page, and then you have to make sure that there's certain pieces of content on both those pages, or else they won't approve you.
Does it have to be the full suite of products that they need to see, or can they just see that you've got a framework in place?
If you're running some upsells or downsells off your front-end product and you want to run those through ClickBank, you have to treat them like individual products with their own approval time.
So, but does your site, your online course site have to be complete as well, or could it be halfway complete?
They don't look at the content in your actual membership area.
Okay.
But I gave them login details anyway, just in case they wanted to look at it.
Mm-hmm. So going back to the actual art of guest blogging, can you share with us what types of businesses can benefit from guest blogging? Are there certain types, or can every business benefit from guest blogging?
Every online business can benefit from guest blogging. If you have an offline business and no online presence, obviously there's no real reason for doing it. And saying that, it's obviously you can build a brand off guest blogging too, depending on, because it's just like writing an article and having it published in a newspaper or something. Instead of being published in a newspaper, it's being published on a blog that has its own readers. But for what we were using it for, it works very well for building large authority sites, so large authority blogs mainly. But I'm just about to get into e-commerce, and I'm going to use guest blogging as the number one promotional strategy for that too, because it will definitely work well there.
So when you talk about authority site, what constitutes an authority site? How many pages and how much traffic do you need before it becomes an authority site? Yeah,
so it's an interesting concept, trying to understand what makes a site authoritative. I think there's two things. The first is, has it become an authority on Google? So does it rank straight, if you put up a new page, does it rank really quickly and on page one relatively quickly for the keyword terms you're looking to target? If it does, then it's seen as an authority by Google. And the second is more of a consumer-based authority. So let's say your authority site is in weight loss, in the weight loss industry, and in order for it to become the authority in that weight loss industry, it needs to become one of the elite blogs that people in that industry know about and go to read on their own merit, and not just finding it through other sources. So they're the two things. So consumer-based authority and then Google-based authority.
Do you have any rough kind of traffic or page count benchmarks to help you determine authority, or is it really all about how quickly it ranks on page 1 of Google?
Not really. I mean, most authority sites, in order to reach that kind of authority on Google and with consumers, need to have at least 50 posts. Most likely, more likely 100 plus posts will make it an authority.
Okay. So going back to the benefits of guest blogging, what are the benefits, and can guest blogging have any direct impact on sales?
Absolutely. So there's a number of benefits with guest blogging. The first is direct traffic. So if you can get on, say, if you're trying to make your site the authority in your niche, and you can guest blog on the current authorities in your niche, you're going to drive a lot of traffic. So direct traffic is number one. The second thing is building your list. So whether it be, say, Facebook followers or email subscribers, you're able to mine someone else's audience and get them on your list. So it's a really effective way of doing that. And the last is as far as helping your search rankings. So when you create a guest post and it appears on an authority site in your niche, you can put a backlink going to your site in either in the post itself or in the author box at the bottom, and that link is going to help your site rank higher and faster on Google.
Can you do that just with guest blogging links, or do you actually need to have a blend of links from a number of different sources? Because I know of a lot of SEOs that really recommend having a diversified backlink portfolio. So if you just focus on guest blogging, that's one type of link. Have you been able to find good success just with guest blog links?
Well, as far as diversity goes with links, it doesn't really matter, the type of link you get. It matters purely about anchor text. So do you know what anchor text is?
Yep.
So anchor text is basically the text that appears in the link, right? Mm-hmm. So when Google came out with their most latest effective spam killing algorithm change, which was Penguin 2.0 and Penguin 1 as well. So all they did was they said that they took a look at your anchor text profile. So let's say you had 100 links, and if the anchor text of those links was all the same, your anchor text profile was too high in their eyes, and they would penalize you because of it. So now you've got to make sure that you have a very diversified anchor text profile. So you have 100 links, but with, say, only 10% of those links being one specific keyword that you're trying to rank for, and the other 90% being variations. So
let's say you get 100 guest post links pointing back to your site. Would a good strategy be to have all the anchor text be variations of your keyword? So the best keyword, or here's where you can find organic keywords, or here's some places where you can find keywords in location.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
And not only that, but I would also not even use the keyword in some of those links as well. I would use just random text like click here or more info, as well as just having no anchor text at all, just a naked URL. So you need to make sure it's very, very much varied. Just making sure that the most important thing is that your main target keyword is only used around about 10% of the time.
Okay, so it's interesting because guest blogging basically is a lot of energy creating content, and can be quite a lot of work to take on for a busy entrepreneur. And so I'm kind of curious whether or not it makes more sense to focus your blogging on guest blogging as opposed to blogging on your own site. And I ask you this because there was an online business coach who I worked with for a while that grew a $300,000 a year coaching business off of a 4-page ugly-ass Weebly site, free Google groups, presentations and Google Docs and Facebook groups, plus a variety of other free tools. And he said to me, Lorna, stop blogging. So if we are going to blog, do you recommend focusing only on guest blogging or trying to do both?
Well, I think maybe there's got to be something interesting about what he was doing, because he must have been providing regular content to his subscribers to his list. Otherwise, like, they wouldn't be interested in sticking with him and purchasing his products. So I think he must have been like providing them with some kind of content, whether it be just emails or on Facebook or something.
Actually, it was pretty much all webinars. Like, he grew his business through webinars and JVs, and that was pretty much it.
So he was providing content to these people still.
Mm-hmm.
And that's kind of like the thing that you're doing with blogging. All you're doing is providing content. But if you're doing blogging and expecting blogging as being a way of building a list on your own site, it's not going to work. And that's why guest blogging is really good, because guest blogging is going to enable you to actually mine someone else's audience and build your own following. So, but I also think it's very important that you need to be providing your list or these new followers with content week to week, whether that be through webinars or email or through blogging on your own site. You need to be doing something.
Okay, so it seems like there's much more ROI with the guest blogging. So if you're going to spend time writing posts, maybe it's better to write for a big, high-traffic authority website and then, drive that traffic back to your website where they can opt in for your list and then provide, email content or invite them to webinars instead.
Yeah, for sure. I think what's very important is if you have a personal brand, say, for example, Screw the 9 to 5, that you have, and we're just doing this now, we're setting up a product funnel so that then all you need to do is then focus on things like guest blogging or doing podcast interviews, and then anyone who reads your guest post or listens to your podcast will then be able to go through to, say, the homepage of your site, and they'll already be inserted into your sales funnel directly from there. Plus, I think by having content on your own site week to week, because your sole purpose is to try and get them on your list so you can sell products to them in the future, by doing regular content, and we do video content, but you can do blogging if you want to. It's sort of showing them that you're there to stay. You're keeping your content fresh in their minds week to week.
Should guest blogging be a continuous activity, or can it be campaign based?
It should be continuous, but in saying that, I've heard a lot of marketers say that they sort of up their guest blogging and their interview schedule as they lead up to a new product launch. So prior to that, they don't actually spend a lot of time marketing their products. But then as they move towards creating a new one or launching a new product, they then start getting themselves out there a lot more, doing a lot more guest posts and interviews.
So how long does it take for you to see results from a guest blogging campaign or initiative?
It's right away. So as far as direct traffic goes, as soon as the guest post goes live, you're going to see traffic immediately. That's probably the best thing about it. That's the thing that we love about it. As far as search engine traffic, it depends on if you're trying to target keywords and you're trying to rank specific pages by using guest blogging, and that's what we were doing. And with that, the updates, we would normally see results within 4 weeks of running a fairly strong guest blogging campaign.
Great. Well, that's shorter than the 3 to 6 to 12 months that SEOs, typically say it takes to see results from an SEO campaign. So 4 weeks is pretty good.
Yeah.
Cool. So can you give us an overview of what customers can expect to learn from your course?
We start off with the basics. So the first thing that you need to do as far as guest blogging goes is to find sites. So it's the locate process. And we show people how to run specific Google searches in order to find guests, in order to find blogs that actually do take guest posts immediately in your niche. So that's the first thing that we kind of teach. From there, it's all about trying to pitch your ideas and get accepted. So a very difficult thing to do as far as guest blogging is get accepted. A lot of people sort of write pitch emails, and we get them coming into our site all the time where they just sort of demand that we take their guest posts. The truth is that most people are going to say no to you. So you need to actually entice them, and we show you how to do that in the pitch emails that we provide. And then from that point, so we talk about the linking concept. So how I talked about before with the Penguin update, the importance of varying anchor text. So we give you the exact ratio of anchor text there that's going to prevent you from getting penalized. And then we talk more about the locate process, but more deeply about finding those types of sites, like the high-end authority sites, because there's a lot of small sites that will take guest posts, but the really big ones, they're the ones that you want. Because if you can get a post on a major site in your industry, then it's going to really skyrocket your results. So that's really important as well. And then finally, we sort of end it with the outsourcing process that we've used. So as far as guest posting goes, we've outsourced all of it now. We don't actually do any guest posting. We do none of the locate process, none of the pitch process, and none of the content as well. So we go through how to do that.
I can't wait to dive into that week's lesson, because all I can say is when I hear the whole process, and I know I haven't done it in such a methodical way as you have, but it can be pretty time consuming, the finding, the pitching, and all that. I just want to outsource all of that. So thank you for putting together a process that we can follow so that we can hire other people to do that for us.
No worries.
So in your entrepreneurial journey, was there any mistake that you made along the way that cost you time, energy, and money that you do differently if you had another chance? We'd love your advice so that other people don't go down that rabbit hole and make the same mistakes.
Yeah, definitely. So the biggest mistake I made was when I mentioned I was developing niche sites and I was really enjoying what I was doing, and I was actually very good at doing it, but then I got caught up in the idea of creating courses, online courses, and actually teaching people, because as soon as you go down that road, if you go down that road too early, then the money is very good, it becomes very good, but you end up just doing that. And what I realized is that the biggest skills that I have are in developing niche sites, whether it be niche affiliate sites, AdSense sites, or e-commerce stores. That's what I want to do. That's what I feel like I want to do. So maybe one tip would be figure out what it is that you like doing as far as online marketing goes, because there's many different techniques of making money online, and then stick to that. Don't go off, just stay on what feels right.
Do you think the online course pathway is much more time consuming than some of the other pathways?
It is, and it's not. There's times where you spend 12 to 18 hours a day leading up to launch, making sure the product's all good to go and whatnot. It's kind of stressful, but then once you've had a successful launch, you can kind of take time off. You can take a couple months off and sort of chill out. So, but the problem with doing courses like that is it's sort of a very up and down cycle year to year, and yeah, it's very up and down, right? Whereas if you have a specific strategy with procedures in place for creating niche sites, just like how the guys do it over at Empire Flippers, they have a strategy now which just runs on autopilot and they're making like a ton of money month to month, then it becomes easier over time. Maybe at first you're working really hard to get that up and running, and once it is up and running and you know exactly what you're doing, it just works on autopilot.
So is this business your life purpose? And if it isn't, then what is?
I've thought life's purpose. It's interesting. I think no one is born with a purpose. I think you create a purpose. So, and I sort of thought about what I do for a long time and thought, is there something easier I can do? Like maybe I can get out and maybe I'm meant to do something else, because it's quite challenging at times being an entrepreneur. But then I realized that I'm here right now. I've been on this earth for 28 years. There must be a reason why I'm doing what I'm doing now. Like there must be a reason for sticking to this for so long, for the last 6 years. And it's because I'm good at this. Like I know I can do this. And I think I've sort of created my own purpose as a result of that. So I feel like this is, it is my purpose, but whether or not that changes in the future, I don't know.
Yeah, I know a lot of people who are in online marketing who teach courses, and one of the things that they love
is the ability to help other people become internet entrepreneurs and free themselves from the 9-to-5 grind.
Yeah, I think that's very important. For me, I always knew I wanted freedom. So freedom as far as like my day-to-day work life, and also freedom to travel, because I always loved traveling since I was 18 years old. So it was something that I definitely wanted to do, and therefore I needed to find a career that would enable me to do that. And fortunately I found online marketing.
Fantastic. Well, we're about at the end of our segment. How can we best stay in touch with you, Josh?
You can head over to our site, screwthe9to5.com. It's all words. Or you can contact me at josh@screwthe9to5.com. And that is my personal email, and I will get back to you.
Thanks a lot. Have a beautiful day.
Cheers.
Thanks, folks, for listening to the Entrepreneurs for a Change podcast. If you enjoyed this episode, please help us reach more people with inspiring stories like this one by giving us a 5-star rating in iTunes. If this podcast inspires you to join the movement of change-making entrepreneurs, we'd love to give you a jumpstart with our free Business Changemakers Toolkit, which you can download at www.entrepreneursforachange.com/join. If you have a changemaker in mind you'd love for us to interview, go to entrepreneursforachange.com/suggest and tell us who and why. Finally, feel free to stop by facebook.com/entrepreneursforachange to share your thoughts and say hello.